To check all minutes. Now you're tapping into a budget that we didn't account for. Don't start something like that.
I got it now. I'll see the 30 cent butt for the budget.
You have a budget, please. I bring my drink.
Okay, welcome to the City of Riverside Planning Commission meeting on Monday, May 15th, 2023. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6:34 p.m. And just as a private note, I promised I'd do this since I have to miss a family dinner. Happy birthday to Chad Denning, my son that I couldn't go to the birthday dinner for to be here.
Oh,
All right, so we are going to start with roll call, please.
Mrs. Denning,
Here.
Mr. Hairston,
Present.
Mr. Owens,
Here.
Mr. Rogers, Mr. Vasquez.
At this time, both Mr. Rogers and Mr. Vasquez had called and explained why they couldn't be here. The chair would entertain a motion to excuse?
I'll make a motion to excuse members Vasquez and Rogers. I second that.
We have a motion and a second to excuse commissioners Vasquez and Rogers. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to approval of agenda. If there is no additions or deletions to the agenda, the chair would entertain a motion to approve as published.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as published.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as published. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the approval of the minutes for the April 17th, 2023 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the April 17th, 2023 meeting.
I second that.
Is there any additions or deletions? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the April 17th meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Now for the approval of the minutes for the April 17th, 2023 work session. If there's
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for the work session.
I second that motion.
we have a motion and a second to approve the work session meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. Just like to remind everyone in the audience, if you would like to speak tonight on an item on our agenda for a public hearing, you will need to fill out one of the slips that's on the back counter, hand it to Miss Holt right here at the end, and she'll pass it down to me to call on you to speak. Time is limited to 3 minutes for anyone speaking on an issue. The applicant is allowed longer than that, just as an FYI. And you'll need to make sure the microphone is pulled down to you so that our clerk can hear in order to put your words into our minutes. We do have detailed minutes. And you also will have to do the oath of office that should be on the podium as well as will appear on the screen for you to give before you start your testimony. It is considered a public hearing and it is testimony that will go into the permanent record of the Planning Commission for the City of Riverside. All right, we're going to move on to our public hearings. Our first public hearing we will open is on PC case number 230006. It's the rezoning of 637 Bluebell Road under partial IDs of I390011700049 and partial I390011700050. This is a rezoning application to take the property from R3 medium density residential to an I1 light industrial for two parcels located with the subject site. And at this time, I'm going to start by turning it over to staff for their report.
I, Naya Holt, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. Address is 5200 Springfield Street, Riverside, Ohio, 45431. As the chair mentioned, this is a rezoning from R3 medium density residential to I1 light industrial for two parcels associated with the subject site, and that is 637 Bluebell Road, located in Riverside. Just want to show you an aerial of the subject site. The whole site is made up of 4 parcels and it's outlined in blue. It's right on the border of Riverside and Dayton. Those 2 parcels that I mentioned that are being requested and included in this rezoning are outlined in red. The applicant is requesting to rezone these parcels to continue the operation of a moving company. Right now, there are trucks parked there and they operate, the administrative, my understanding is outside of this house. The company started about 9 years ago out of this property, and that is after the incorporation of the city of Riverside. And that is why grandfathered rights, or what we refer to as non-conforming rights, are not an option for this location. So they were cited in February of this year, and we did speak with the property owner about this site, and this is why they came to the conclusion of rezoning. So this is an aerial, a rezoning of the map of the property. You can see everything around here in Riverside is R3. It's in the middle of a neighborhood. We have the Dayton side over here. That is the bike path, Metro Parks. That is I1, but it is Metro Parks. It's the bike path. There is also some funding that the city of Riverside has received from demo. So there is some reinvestment that the city is looking to do in this area. This is the front of the subject site, the main house, the principal structure. This is a photo of the parcels that are looking to be rezoned to I1. This is the adjacent property just to the south, the other residential right next door. This is a view from Smithville. So this is along the road. This is kind of what our code enforcement officer saw that kind of caught his eye. And so staff does not find that this is an appropriate rezoning. It does not align with the policies of our current comprehensive plan. This plan that we have, the 2025 plan, calls for this area to remain residential. And we do have lots that are vacant in residential areas. It calls for us to use those lots for infill development to create new housing opportunities. It also does not align with the city's goals to attract residential reinvestment in this area by, us attracting state funds into this neighborhood. This use would also accelerate the duration of Bluebell Road. Our service department has concerns with the trucks coming in and off. Our residential roads are not made for constant truck being on the road day in, day out. So the director of the service department had some concerns with the use being there for 9 years and continuing to be there. Additionally, this proposed use would constitute spot zoning. We do not have any I-1 in that area on the riverside, and that is what we can regulate because that is within our jurisdiction, our boundaries. So these are your required actions and what you have to recommend to the city council, because that is the next step, is whether you recommend approval as it's presented, approval with conditions, recommend denial, which is what is staff's recommendation, or if you need more information from the applicant, you can table this case to a different date to collect more information and reconsider. Do you have any more questions for me or any questions at all?
So the two lots that are learned, can you go back to the lot picture,
course.
please?
This one or the aerial?
The aerial. That's fine, that's fine. So the two lots in red that they're looking to rezone, there's no buildings on that.
No.
Is the business being run out of the residential?
Yes, that's my understanding, but we can clarify with property owner.
Okay.
So should this be rezoned, we would definitely have them come back for a home occupation because that would be the next step. That's a requirement. And that was also what was cited in the code enforcement letter.
Thank you. All right, no questions for staff.
Rezoning is the,
So if it gets rezoned, it would just be these two parcels. That gets I-1.
but
This
not
would
the
remain-
home.
No, this would
Okay.
remain R3.
I just wanted to verify.
Mhm.
All right, I think I have a slip here from a Charles Meyer as a representative for this case.
No, that
No.
would be the next case.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is the applicant here? You'd like to step to the podium? Anything you'd like to share?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. Make sure you do the oath.
I, Corey Holt, affirm that the testimony I am about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge.
And state your full name and address for the record, please.
My full name is Corey Blake Holt. I'm located at 503 Spinning Road, Riverside, Ohio, 45431.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. Appreciate that. My name is Corey Holt. My father, Eddie Holt, was unable to attend this meeting tonight due to a family matter, but I have two other owners here. It's my grandfather, Glenn Holt, and his partner, Ron. I am here on his behalf, and Safe and Sound Moving Company is our family business. And we want to make sure that the planning committee understands that we have been parking our trucks at 637 Bluebell Road since 1997. Our administration department is run out of Dayton, Ohio, not at that residence. At another partner's house, which is Ron, that is currently sitting there. We strictly just park the trucks at this address in question. We are at a dead-end street and we only pass 3 neighboring residential homes on the way in and out of this neighborhood. I have signatures from each of these neighbors stating that they have no issues with our trucks. We have noticed over many years that there are several other businesses within the plat on Byesville, Derwent, on and off Springfield Street. We had no idea that we were violating any code since these other businesses are within the plat as well. I was told by city officials that those non-conforming businesses were allowed to continue since they were grandfathered in before Riverside became an official city. I looked over the standards for approval from section 1105.07 in the 2005 comprehensive plan update for this plat, and I cannot understand how the requirements can be met without removing the businesses that have been grandfathered in. If the committee would reconsider recommending those 2 lots to light industrial, I can promise you that they would only be used for parking our trucks that we have been doing for the last 26 years. I can also place in my will, my father's will, my grandfather's will, that we would turn these lots back into residential zoning before selling this property. We are not here to cause any issues. We're just a small family business trying to make a decent living and a good example to our community. I've always taught my family to be a good reflection of their community that brings forth pride, progress, and the possibilities to thrive. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for the applicant? So you stated that the business isn't ran from there. You're just using that as storage, basically.
Strictly parking the trucks. Those lots used to be just a bunch of trees from an individual that owned that lot a long time ago, and we did a lot of work for him. And he blessed my grandfather with those 2 parcels. So he decided to get rid of the trees, and that's where we would just strictly park the trucks.
And you guys are a moving company, so I just curious, those trucks are typically parked there with nothing in them?
Nothing in them at all.
What's the residential code for parking commercial trucks?
Not permitted.
And the only option, if they are to continue to use that as storage, is I-1. There's no part of,
In our current zoning code, yes.
And how long did you say the business has been there since?
1997, sir.
That's how long you've been parking the trucks there, since 97?
Yes, ma'am.
because technically the business isn't in Riverside then. You want one of the applicants, basically? Yes, please step to the podium, state your name, your address, and say the oath, please.
My name is Ron Gerald. My address is 6637 Greeley Avenue, Dayton, Ohio, 45424. I, Ron Gerald, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
So basically, I know you had mentioned, Nia, you'd mentioned earlier that the business has been with 9 years. It's actually been in business since 1997. So it's been in business for quite
In
some
Riverside?
in Riverside, yes, since 97. It's been in business some time. The administration, so what we basically do is we park the trucks at that location. The administration is operated, which is my residence in Dayton, Ohio, on Greeley Avenue. So basically, I do all the administration for the business, the taxes, the payroll, all that good stuff is done out of that office, and the parking of the trucks is done there. So we don't store any furniture there. We just all we do is park the trucks there. We did spend quite a bit of money clearing those trees out, in excess of, a lot of money to hire a tree company to clear that area out. So, so we do have a pretty big investment in trying to clear that out to park our trucks there. I do see this company started many years ago with Glenn and his son, and it's just growing and growing and growing. It's getting bigger and bigger. For the long term, I don't see us being there because the company is growing more than what we anticipated it doing. We, like I said, Corey mentioned, we're a family business. We try to do a great job for the community, and a lot of people appreciate our business. We actually turn more work away than we do. So, we're pushing 7 digits a year. So we expect to be growing and growing and growing. So in the long term, I don't really see us being there that long. If we want to expand this, I see us getting a different location down the road. But for now, we just need the park.
So are you paying commercial taxes for those lots? Are they still being taxed as residential lots?
They're being taxed for residential. So you're saying we should be paying tax on those as commercial? Well, it's not zone commercial, it's zone.
Right,
It's not
right,
really zoned that way.
right.
So if it does get zone commercial, I anticipate paying those taxes, which is not
Okay.
a problem.
And you've been operating in Riverside since 97. Are you paying
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
taxes
We're
for
paying.
as a business?
We're paying, partnership taxes, which is from LLC. We are paying the dividend or we have 3 owners and we pay our taxes out of that. Yes.
But you're operating the business in Dayton?
Yes.
So I'm just trying to
Yes. Yes.
figure out
You're fine.
like,
Yeah, it would.
yeah,
we're
how that's working.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a
Because, I mean,
follow up to that.
yeah.
Because according to the state attorney general's page, you have 367 Bluebell listed on your LLC. And you just told me that you're running the business out of Dayton
Well, that's-
and you
that's-
have a zip code of 45433, which isn't even a Riverside zip code.
That's probably an admin error. It should be 4531, obviously, 31 for the LLC. That's probably because when we filed the LLC, that's the address we gave the LLC company that did it for us. But like I
But do you
said,
pay Riverside taxes? That's what she's asking you, the income taxes.
yes, ma'am.
Each employee pays Riverside income tax, not City of Dayton income tax.
Well, we actually, how we're set, we don't have any employees. We have contractors working for us. We have actually 3 owners pay Riverside tax. We pay that every year out of our K1 distributions. And that's how we pay our taxes. And of course, the contractors that work for us they pay their own taxes.
You may be getting too much in the weeds on that one, but.
Well, but I guess my concern is the fact we were just told that the business part is run out of Dayton. This is only for storage, but now I'm seeing on the state website is the 637 Bluebell. So you see where I'm just trying to make sure we're getting the correct information.
Sure, we can correct that if need be. I mean, if we could correct the address of where it needs to be at. Like that, when it was filed, it was just the address was given.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Anything else to add, sir?
No, thank you very much.
Okay. Were you finished, sir? Okay, thank you. Okay. Any questions from commissioners?
This was to be staff, if this was to be tabled, what, is there any other things that they could do to address or fixing this issue in this?
It would be up to you what other information you would need to make your recommendation to city council.
But it,
And there's no other option for them but to go industrial on the property.
for the commercial trucks.
Not really. I don't see a PUD working here. I don't think that would be appropriate. It would come up against the same barriers with our comprehensive plan because even a PUD is more closely tied to a comprehensive plan.
So what is
I mean.
I guess my
reason
concern
against.
is if the business isn't technically in Riverside, as was stated here in testimony, would this be something that would normally even come to planning commission just to store some trucks on a
Yeah,
piece of property?
I mean, U-Haul came here.
Well, I mean, if
like
it's not a
any storage,
business here,
because the act of storage still comes, is a land use. So
Okay.
yes, you guys would have to decide on that.
okay. Okay, any other questions before we close and then do a,
I do.
Yes,
I
please.
know we, staff again. The young man was reading from, I believe his father was the owner, about putting something as well. Is that even like something feasible?
So they would probably have to put like a deed restriction or something in there.
Okay, but that is something that's,
We would have to work with the city attorney on that. And you would have to clearly make that a condition.
have you had any residents call in or,
I had one call, but they just wanted more information on what this actually was about.
okay, Mayor, did you have something?
If I may. Chair,
Yes.
are there any-
Not that I'm aware of. I would have to look, yeah.
That would be
More. I know on a separate project, our community development tech is looking at deed restrictions in the community. And if that's what you would like me to investigate, for you to table, that would be something.
I think I'd be interested in seeing if there's any current deed restrictions on as far as the plat goes from when it, first originated. What could be restricted that would only be for this one owner, that the I-1 would not transfer to any future owners or anyone else who would purchase the property. And what can be done to make sure that happen. We have just so the applicants know, we have gotten stuck on this moving from a B2 or an R3 to an industrial, and then somebody sells it out in 6 months and puts in things that we did not approve. But we're stuck because of the things that are allowed under that zoning. So taking anything in Riverside to an I is it's really hard because we want to make sure that that stays a neighborhood and doesn't become a huge industrial area, So we'd like to see if there's any, I think I would be interested in possibly tabling and seeing if we could get more clarification on exactly how we could, if we would even decide to make this an I-1, but what kind of restrictions so that it would only be for this one person, for this one purpose. And once that purpose is no longer needed, it goes back to an R3 automatically. That's what I'd like to know. Commissioners, what?
I'm kind of on the same page with you.
Although I think you guys are digging too deep into the weeds.
I think if they've been operating there since 97, they're parking empty trucks.
What other industrial areas are there in Riverside?
Close to this.
Yeah. Well,
That's-
not necessarily close to anywhere in Riverside.
Like the Harshman area, transportation. All of it is mostly in Dayton,
Yeah.
this area. So, like I said in my presentation, this would be spot zone
And it would be spot zoning.
along Valley Street.
Yeah.
So it's all north of this.
Commissioner, any more discussion?
Any more discussion? We'll close the public hearing and go see what we come up with. Is that okay? Agreed? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing. And we'll move on to commissioners. This is on the Bluebell property.
So for PC case number 23-0006, rezoning of 637 Bluebell Road, I move to recommend denial of the rezoning application under that case at Bluebell Road based on the staff report, evidence and testimony heard today, and the proposed spot zoning.
I'll second that. We have a motion and a second to recommend denial for the rezoning of 637 Bluebell. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mrs. Denning,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston.
No,
At this time, what will happen is even though we recommend denial, it has to go to the city council for a final vote. You can work with Ms. Holt. She can get you those dates when that will be put on their agenda, and you'll have an opportunity to speak with them as well. Okay? Thank you. Okay, moving on to PC case 230007. This is a conditional use for 4766 Airway Road, partial ID number I390012300028, conditional use of application for an automobile sales business in the B2 General Business District. So we'll open that up and go to staff report.
This is a conditional use application for an automobile sales business in the B2 General District at 4766 Airway Road. This is an aerial map of the subject site. It is outlined in blue. It is on the south side of Airway Road. It is outside of the source water protection area, I should note. Here is the zoning of the property. The applicant is proposing to use the existing building and, let me go back, the existing parking, which is hard to see, but I'll have some site photos to park. Out here, there's about 24 parking spaces and there's 7 spaces here. 2 will be for employees, the rest will be for customer parking. This will be left alone and there will be some landscaping that will need to be installed if the planning commission approves this conditional use. Wrong way, bear with me. As I said, site photos, this is the front of the subject site. This is the property across the street. You may have noticed this about 2 years ago. Another car This is the adjacent property to the east. Adjacent property to the west. Now, this is the proposed area for vehicle displays. And this is where the proposed employee and customer parking. These cars are associated with this business here. So in order to remain in compliance and have enough parking for customers, employees, they will no longer be able to park there. So those will have to be removed, or, they have to be told you can't park your vehicles there anymore. So this is staff finding. Staff finds that this application is not adequately justified, does not meet standards 2, 3, 6, or 7. We do recommend denial of this conditional use. It is not in alignment with our current comprehensive plan or the findings of our ongoing tentative land use plan that we are looking at. This area is in what the current comp plan cards are central core. It is where we want to attract retail, office, business, recreate, educational, tourism type of uses. This use could limit higher uses and potential major developments in the Airway Woodman corridor. This will not contribute to the overall economic health of the community. You received a letter from our economic development specialist, which speaks more to this. And I'll leave it there. These are your required actions. Whether you approve the application as presented, approve with the conditions listed on page 2, or deny the application. If you need more information, there is always the option to table a case to get more information from the applicant. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for staff? All right. And are you Mr. Meyer?
Yes.
Um,
My name is Charles Meyer, and I affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the planning commission is correct to the best of my knowledge.
Can you state your
And I'm
address
the-
for it?
The architect working with the owner on the development of this property.
Okay. And your address for the record, please.
My address is 3635 Rio Bravo Trail, Cleves, Ohio, 45002.
Thank you. Go ahead.
You want me? Okay.
Your turn.
The site is very open and fortunately, it was prepared by the previous owners of that property when they, I believe there was a nightclub there at one time and then a restaurant, then left vacant. So that the grounds and everything have been prepared. We acknowledge the recommendations by the zoning code for setback in buffer zones, and we intend to comply with that. Other than that, we not much. The building's going to be used for an office. They'll reuse that. There's some things on the site that need to be corrected, and I believe the owner's going to take care of that. The awning in the front is half shot, so that's going to if he's going to keep that framing there, then that would have to be replaced with new awning. The building is in good shape. I have not been inside of it, but the exterior is in good shape and doesn't show any real wear anywhere. So, and as I said, and by the pictures, it shows that the site has been resurfaced recently, and it's been lined, which could be used for the placement of the car in that's going to be used for sales there, or they may black all that out and create new areas for the number of cars that they're going to have there to sell. The zoning code, I did not read anywhere where it says how many cars they could put on a lot for resale. So whatever it is, the owner's going to have to comply with that.
All right. Anything else?
This is Mr. Ambe. He's the going to be part of the ownership of the lot. And you have anything you want to say? Or any questions for him, actually?
Do you have anything you'd like to address?
Yeah,
Go
I, being Ambe, affirm the testimony I'm about to give before the planning commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. Well, the
And-
reason why you want to change the zoning to a car lot is that it's almost impossible to do anything with that building because it's very small, like 1,500 square foot, that's including the restaurants and everything else, and hard to make like use the inside of the building to make any business out of it. It's got over an acre land, and I think to make a profit, you have to use the land, and that's why I have decided to make it a car lot instead of anything else. And building right next to me is a mechanic shop. Across the street, there's a car lot. So the area is, it's compatible with what's going on around me. And that's why I have decided to make it a car lot.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? We do have a couple
Who
people.
owns the,
Do you-
I am. the owner.
you own the lot?
Yeah.
You want it
Okay.
now? Any other questions before I move on to other testimony on this?
No.
All right, anything else you want to add before I move on to community testimony? Okay, thank you very much, both of you. Okay, I have two other people who would like to speak on this, I believe on this issue. Andrew Schwartz, I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. Okay. Again, if you'd step to the podium, state your name, your address, and then recite the oath, I would appreciate it.
All right, my name is Andrew Schwartz. I live at 4849 Conway Road, Riverside, Ohio, 45431. I, Andrew Schwartz, affirm that the testimony I am about to give before the planning commission is correct and the best of my knowledge.
Thank you.
I'll make it simple and quick. I have no problem with this happening as long as they use a buffer zone to park the cars. It doesn't get crowded in there. It keeps away from that fence, which neighbors behind don't have to worry about a bumper up against their fence. I don't have a problem as long as they're not parking in the grass and all that field behind there. It'd be a lot better than what we've had in the past in that property. Because we've had too many problems over there and I don't want to see that again. A used car lot, as long as it's clean and looks good, it's all I'm concerned about. Because just adjacent to that lot, there's another one right there at Meyer, right up from the international store. When it was there was cars literally piled on, back to back behind that old house. And it was a disaster. And now they're gone. So on this testimony, I have no problem with it as long as they keep it clean and make it look nice, because it would be nice to have something in there that we don't have to worry about having a lot of problems. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I have Steve Gaby, sorry. I guess there wasn't an E in there, so.
Steve Gaby, 4839 Conway Road. I, Steve Gaby, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the planning commission is correct to the best of my knowledge.
Thank
I
you.
also do not have no problem. I live directly, almost directly behind the building. As long as they do the buffer zone, like you was talking about, where no cars, up against the fence. We have a swimming pool in the backyard, which I do have a permit for, and have no problem at all. And I don't know why that does not fit in the scope of everything else going on, because they have a, like you said, a repair shop right next door. And they have, used to be a car lot. I'm not sure if it's a tire shop replacement now on the corner, sort of across the street from it. And, as long as it's upkeep. And, I've lived at my location for 30 some odd years. And we do not want no bar. We do not want no alcohol back there. It's, it's been nice and peaceful since the last issue has been resolved.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Any questions? Now I have they submitted, maybe I'm overlooking it in here. Of maybe this is. Like, have they submitted any details on that buffer back there? It says a 6-foot zero screen fence along property line. Is that all they're required to do?
There's a 25-foot buffer requirement along residential.
So would their fence have to be 25 foot in?
So they put the fence up and then there's that landscape buffer. So that can be hedges, and I can work with the applicant on that.
Here, that they have to,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I was asking. Grass. And since that's all grass area, they wouldn't be permitted just by general rule of law
Yeah,
to
they
park
can't.
any vehicles
No.
or have anything going on in that grass area.
That's correct. No. But as has been brought up, there is a lot of auto uses in that area. So there is quite a concentration.
I think there's like 9 of them between Colonel Glenn and everybody else from the top they build that.
Mm.
I know that our residents committee in that didn't want anything else in like that in that area.
Yeah, that is what we heard, we went to those land use plan meetings.
Yeah.
And that is what's in our current plan. And so that's what I have to work with, our current land use plan and what I hear from our residents in those land use plan meetings, even though it's not adopted yet. I use both.
I've been handed one more request to speak. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to that. And then Brett Domasek.
I, Brett Domesick, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the planning commission is correct to the best of my knowledge.
State your full name and address, please.
Brett Domesick, which address do you want? The property here is probably 103 Meyer Avenue, in which I own as a rental property. I'm kind of neutral to this. I agree with these fellows here to the point that I think that, if they're happy and they live right behind it, so be it. My concern is, which I just heard, is the amount of these car lots that are just, it's going to be like Northridge up on North Dixie. If we keep it up, you go down Woodman Drive, you've got the car operation there that's fixing up cars and repairing them, and they've taken over the lot. And then you turn up on Airway, you've got one right just past the Wendy's. You got one on top of the hill, just over the old railroad tracks, are now the bike path. And again, the one fellow that just bought a couple of years ago that has put it in. So just infiltrating that area with that. I certainly agree with these gentlemen here. I do not want to see a bar in that area or of any kind. They don't need to be serving alcohol there and have any kind of a facility like that. I just question, the need for another car lot in that immediate area. It is very heavily concentrated. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Owens?
Not at this time, no questions. Looking at this staff display here.
Hey, I had no more notes up here that anyone else wanted to speak. So, okay. I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing and have Commissioner talk about this. Yes, I'm at the point. I agree. I don't want a bar in there,
Yeah, I don't know.
but we're starting. I think Mr. Domasek hit it on the nose too, though. I grew up in Northridge. I know what the Dixie Street, is, and at a certain point from Needmore down to Huey Street, it's nothing but car lots, and that it's not a good image for the area. And I'm concerned that that's kind of happening on Airway.
We've had a couple that have started and then didn't amount to anything.
Yeah. But right there, it's so
Yeah.
concentrated. And we got a couple that's right there that just aren't kept up either. So not saying that this applicant wouldn't, the grounds on that does look very nice. There's a lot of valid points to it. But the city put a lot of money and time, residents put their own personal time and that into this new land use plan that's, strictly says that that's not what they're looking for. And that's our residents talking.
Right. So what business plan is what makes it Carl? So.
Can you speak into the mic? Because this is like public comment.
I was saying, I'm wanting to know what makes a car lot so desirable. Is it because of the low overhead?
Like, why are we at? Why are we?
Yeah, why
attracting
are the car lots wanting to come along here and sell here? And
Is it just the visibility?
Any ideas?
Does-
Um,
I'm sorry.
I don't know. I would definitely refer to that, possibly that letter from the Economic Development Specialist. Because like you said, in that area, there's, we've got one across the street that's potentially opening, the one that's on right next to Wendy's.
You're part of the applicant. Yes, I'll let you address. Yeah, you have to speak to the mic though, and just restate your name so that we know who's speaking, please.
This is Charles Meyer,
And you're still under oath. Mr.
representing
Meyer.
Mr. Ambe. The question that you're concerned about is the number of car lights and the locations for them and so forth. But and also the desire to have other types of businesses along that strip. But do you have an economic development department?
Yes, we do, and we're reading the,
And
we
if
have the
they-
letter here.
Okay, and if they have people that they are interested in along that site, any of that property can be bought and sold and then zoned for whatever you need it to be zoned for. But what's there now and what's going to be there for maybe the short term, maybe long term. But that property can be changed to anything you want it to be. And that if they have a developer that's got a aeronautic type of a business is one of the things you're looking for. And it wants to be close to the airport, you're going to interest them in some of that property there. Even though it's somebody else owns it now, I'm more than willing to sell it, I'm sure. They just said a parking lot is a used car lot is just a use of space, really. And that happens to be nice space there because it's already been paved and so forth. But if that section of airway is attractive to a buyer, they'll make an offer, and I'm sure the present owner would sell it at the right price. So it's not like you're ever kept from development. That'll come. I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is the parking, the employee parking, there's 7 spots,
2.
2 spots? How many? Is there something here about the other property is using that right now? Are they going to be allowed to use that continuing or? Is there-
No, because the requirement is they have to have those
those
spaces.
spaces?
Mhm. And yes, I would have to, you would have to reply to the property owner because I don't think they have permission to do that.
Hello, I'm Benny Mumbai. Well, I'll let the neighbors park there because I'm not using the property right now.
Right.
I'm not, I've owned it over 2 years and I've been trying to figure out what to do with the property. And I've tried to rent it to a lot of people, and because of the size of the building, nobody wants it. So the only thing I can make with this place is use the parking space that I have. And that's why I'm trying to make it a parking lot. But once, if this goes through and get approved, the neighbor's gonna have to park on their side. So I'm just letting them park there. And they only park their own vehicle. So at nighttime when they leave, that parking spot is usually empty.
So they're going to be allowed to have 24 parking spots for display vehicles, correct? Is that the limit?
There is no limit in our code. That was
That's
what
what's
was
there
shown on the
proposed.
plan.
Okay.
Our code only regulates parking for employees, customers.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm going to make a motion. I move to deny PC case number 230007 at 4766 Airway Road based on the staff report, evidence and testimony here today, and to uphold the wishes of our residents and our community.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second to deny this PC case 230007. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Denning,
Yes.
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you, everyone, for your testimony. You'll need to get with Ms. Holt about anything going forward. Okay. Now we're moving on to the City of Riverside Comprehensive Land Use Plan 2023 update. Ms. Holt. And this is a public hearing as well, correct?
Yes, and this will be a
So-
recommendation to city council.
Yes. So I'm opening the public hearing. Sorry, Madam Clerk. Ms. Holt.
Right. So just to back up for anybody who is at home, what is a comprehensive plan? A comprehensive plan is a policy document that covers the city's vision for the community. It is a long-range policy document, and it is a process that is community-based to guide our decisions for how we want to develop our community and improve the quality of life for all of our residents and stakeholders. So we started this process over a year ago. We partnered with MKSK. It's a consulting group. We also had a steering committee that was made up of business owners, community partners, and residents. There was research, planning, engagement. There was 3 community meetings. This is the picture from the very first one. So, and there was some online engagement as well. What is in the plan? There are 4 key sections. There is place, prosperity, foundations, and how to actually implement the ideas and recommendations in the plan. Place covers community character, land use, parks, open space. Prosperity is economic development, housing, and other topics of that nature. Foundation is the things that our city kind of really rests on, the hard physical things, infrastructure, transportation, roadway capacity, sidewalks, all those really physical things that make a city work. And then how do we work everything out? How does the things that we recommend, our vision, how do we get to our desired future? That's all laid out in our implementation strategy. And some of the 4 big things that I want to, outside of that, is there was sub areas that were highlighted in the plan. Roar Park, Springfield Street, Airway Woodman Corridor, and Spinning Burkhardt Roar Corridor was 4 areas that were, 4 is a big number, areas of key development. Whether it was, this is the area where more housing can go and we should concentrate commercial development here. Those were 4 areas. So I'm going to stop sharing that and pull up kind of some of the plan. Let's see if I can do that. Yeah. Where are you? There it is. So this is kind of what the draft looks like. You can see those table of contents, those places those 4 sections I really talked about. The background really lays out the beginning. What is a comprehensive plan? The process, those vision statements, all of that. And I know the planning commission had a chance to look at this, but this is kind of what you will be voting on, this draft document. And it's a draft until city council adopts it. So that's really all I have on that.
I have no slips for anyone to speak on this issue. So is there any questions for staff? You ready to close? All right, I'll close the public hearing. And we discuss what we'd like to do. Do we want to recommend this for city council?
I move to recommend adoption of the City of Riverside Comprehensive Plan, Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Too many Ps. 2023 update, One Riverside, to the City Council based on the staff report and community comments.
I second
Awesome.
that.
Awesome. We have a motion and a second to recommend to city council to adopt this new land use plan. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Owens,
Yes.
Mr. Hairston,
Yes.
Mrs. Benning.
Yes, motion passes. Okay, we are finished with our public hearings. So we'll go on to our zoning administrator discussion topics.
There is actually one more thing I need to discuss with you.
Okay.
I talked to council about this, but I will also share this with you. So there have been some inquiries about CRAs, but we don't have the mechanism, a housing council, to actually execute this. A CRA or a community reinvestment program is a tool that a city can use when appropriate to give a tax exemption. There are 3 in Riverside. These areas have been identified if there has been a lack of investment in this area, and we want to encourage investment in those CRA areas, those community reinvestment areas. There's a north, central, and southern areas. All those projects are a case by case, and we negotiate them starting with the housing council. I act as the housing officer for each project and kind of usher them through this process, but the housing council reviews the application and determines if they're even eligible to move forward in the process and if they're eligible for that tax exemption. So here are the areas. The north is outlined in red, blue is the central, and then the green is in the south. So like I said, there is the housing officer, the CRA Housing Council, and why I bring this to your attention is because the Planning Commission appoints 1 member to this Housing Council. That is your job, to pick an individual who is going to serve on the Housing Council. The mayor picks 2 members and the city council as a whole appoints 2 members as well. And then once the Housing Council is assembled, the 5 members pick another 2 members. These are residents at large to form the complete 7 members of this council. So this is the process, the application, and then the Housing Council is kind of here. This is their role. They review the application to see if it moves forward for us to actually get to some agreement with that applicant. With that being said, and I'll turn to our legal counsel, is it appropriate for them to decide tonight? Can they pick somebody among themselves? Should we table that? If they,
Someone can make a motion
mhm.
to appoint somebody.
Okay,
There's no reason why they couldn't do that now if you,
if you feel like
If
you
you
have enough
wish to do
information,
that.
I can answer any questions.
When do you need this by?
I'm only saying you because you see a lot of these projects that come for you,
Right.
so you be informed.
When do you need like the names in that house and what's your timeline?
Probably by June. The next meeting is June 21st. So I think we should probably have somebody by June 21st.
The other members here that were named. and what's-
Let's see if we can have all the members here.
Okay.
Maybe June will be better than May.
Okay.
Are you out in May? I guess here's some from you. Were you out in June, really?
And
Were you out in June, though? Okay, all right. So can we move this as an item for the June meeting?
yes, and if you will remember, the June meeting is a Wednesday because of the Juneteenth holiday. So June 21st, just to remind you. So that was my second zoning administrator topic.
Okay. Everybody make sure that's on your June 21st.
Mhm. Same time, 6:30, but it's on a Wednesday, June 21st.
Okay. Glad you said that because I lost half of my calendar. So. it wasn't there. All right, anything else?
That's
Ms.
all I
Holt?
have.
That's all you have. Mayor, would you like any comments?
No, thank you. Thank you to the volunteers, the board members, and to Nye, of course, for all the work she puts in. Looking forward to the housing, putting together the CRA team. And that's something that I know that the staff of the city is looking forward to using to our advantage in areas where there hasn't always been investment. So that's the important thing to know about a CRA.
Right. Thank you. Ms. Legal Counsel, anything for us? No. Matters by commissioners, Mr. Owens,
Not at this time.
Mr. Hairston?
No.
All right. Then the chair would entertain, well, first, I just want to thank everyone for being here and you actually stayed after the item on the agenda you were here for. I'm so impressed. So thank you all very much. Thank you for talking and that. And at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion for adjournment.
I second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussions? Seeing none, all those in